Hello there, viewers. Good day to you. Welcome back to the channel. Glad you guys are here. We're returning to this, I think it's a 04 Dodge Dakota 3.7 liter V6. This thing came in yesterday. We did a very lengthy diagnostic process on it. It had a camshaft correlation sensor code, throttle position sensor code, and when we found it, I had discovered that the owner of the vehicle had fired the parts cannon and tossed a bunch of sensors into it. They put a crank sensor in, which is down on the passenger side bottom of the block. We've got a throttle position sensor, looks like a barometric / manifold absolute pressure sensor here. And after throwing all the sensors in there, the DTCs, the codes, came back up. Check engine light was on. The thing was long crank, meaning you'd crank it and 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 crank it. All right, and then eventually it would start. And then once it was running, the engine would not achieve a power output higher than 2,500 RPM. So what was happening is the ECM had no idea what to do, how to give it fuel or how to give it spark, anything like that. Reason being is it did not know what the engine was doing because many of the primary sensing elements, like the crank sensor and the throttle position sensor, were all off the network. They were not functioning. So it had little information. The ECM had no information receiving in order to properly determine how to fuel and fire this particular engine. Now, what we had discovered is that the 5-volt reference and the return lines from those sensors to the ECM and the grounds, for that matter, were all malfunctioning. What we had ended up doing was digging out this wiring harness right here from this point of view, because we had the intake manifold in this on part 1. And what we had found was one of the harnesses which contains the splice pack for all the ground wires. See all this right here? This splice pack had rubbed through or become oil saturated, and all of these wires right here melted together and they formed one big wire. So instead of having, 37 smaller circuits, we had one big circuit combined with grounds, combined with sensor signal, and also combined with 5-volt reference. So realistically, I'm surprised this thing even ran at all, given the amount of damage that occurred on this section of the harness. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to separate these wires as best I can, and I'm going to make an attempt to repair these wires with some new strands, and then we're going to put this back together, plug everything back in, and see if this thing is going to function or if it's not going to function. My concern is that the ECM may be damaged, because when you ground 5-volt references, or when you're running straight ground or straight power to sensor return pins, there's a chance we could have sent amperage through circuits in this ECM and possibly damaging it. It may have some blown up capacitors, it might have like a burnt board inside, it may have nothing wrong with it and it survived, but we won't be able to make that determination until after this bit of business over here is fixed up. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today, is we're basically going to build a section of a wiring harness and then see if we can't get this engine to come back to life. Now, I know what you guys are saying, because I've already seen it in the other comment section. Why not just get a whole new wiring harness? Well, I mean, this is a 20-year-old truck. So, number one, it's going to be hard to find a 20-year-old truck. We're not going to find new stock for a wiring harness for a 20-year-old truck. And realistically, ain't nobody got time for that. So instead of trying to source all that stuff out and then tear out this entire harness and attempt to reroute everything and make a mountain out of a molehill, we're just going to go ahead and fix those wires, and that's going to be that. So that's what we're going to do. Let me get out my electrical repair goodies. We're going to get after it and see how this works out. Stay tuned. This right here is going to be a very good electrical repair video. Alrighty, we're getting started. We're in the corner now. So this is the affected harness, not this one. This one looks pretty good. There's nothing wrong with that one, but we need to finish digging out the wires from this this heat shield business right here. I pulled some of it back the other day, yesterday, but a little bit more left to go. There, we'll bust out the skizzers here and make light work of the rest of this. Cut that back. This is not going to be an action-packed video, guys, I can tell you that. So here we go, we got two separate sections of this harness. Here's the splice pack ground section that bolts to the engine block. And then these three wires here, these are the ones going to crankshaft position sensor. So we're gonna separate the sections first. Fortunately, I think all the copper is still in good shape. So we're not separating here, look. We can see that the blue, see that blue wire? That one's starting to pull out of its shielding. I don't like that. I want it to stay in its shielding. There we go. The yellow, orange one, that's our 5-volt reference. Let's get that one separated. All right. So now we're cooking. You know what? This is actually going to be a little easier than I thought, because take a look here. All these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 of these wires, these are the splice packs. This is the ground splice pack for all the sensing elements. So these wires can all stay attached. So what I'm just gonna do is we're gonna cut this off wherever I can cut it off, and we're just gonna run these splices all together as one wire. That'll handle the ground side. So all I need to do is repair these 3 wires right over here. Fantastic. I wanna see how they built this. I don't know why that one's loop-de-looped around. That's kind of weird, but okay. All right, so where we're at, these are all okay. This is all damaged. This one, although that's a new connector right here, I'm just gonna get a whole nother pigtail, and we're just gonna splice the new pigtail in like right down here. That should not really be a problem. I don't have the pigtail yet, so we're not cutting that off. So I guess what I need to do is figure out how we're gonna rebuild this section of ground cable. We'll do that first. Okay, so here's my battle plan. Rather than building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate splices and making this huge giant elephant of a repair, I'm gonna take some of this 4-gauge battery cable right here, and we're just gonna splice this in with a big butt connector and some solder right down here, and then we'll solder an eyelet onto the end of it, and then just delete all of this all together and make that whole section of ground nice, fresh, and new. So coming right out of the gate, let's just start getting wires cut off and see how this endeavor progresses. So these are all the grounds in the splice pack. There we go. So what we do, we're gonna strip it all back super far. I'm gonna strip it farther than normular, about an inch or so, 1.25 inches. These don't carry much current. Like I said, they just provide the ground connection for each sensor. So there's not really a load-bearing circuit per se. And I'm sure there's some kind of amperage flowing over it, but nothing too crazy. What's good here is that everything that we're pulling back is good, clean copper. There's no corrosion and destruction occurring. Strip that back. There we go. I think that's all of them. So now we're gonna make a big old connection with all these little connections. Let's see if this works. I'll make a bunch of Ys. See the Y shape? We'll take the wire and we'll twist the Ys together, and then twist the Ys together with the next wire, and so on and so forth, until we have one big section of wire. Again. Doing it wrong. It's gonna cause bad connection and burn the car down. Yeah, when this is done, we're headed out early today. It's pre-hurricane day. I forget what they named it already, but it's supposed to ramp up rather intensively in the upcoming hours. It's down there by Cuba and Mexico right now, moving north, slight drift towards the west. which means it's moving towards like Alabama and the panhandle of Florida. But it's going to be a massive size storm, so even here towards the center of the state-ish, I'm on the west side of Florida, but inland slightly, we're still going to catch a lot of storm activity. There won't be a storm surge in my area because we're not that close to the coast. I mean, if a storm surge hits us over here, that's game over, like life fail, like biblical annihilation, but that's not going to be the case. I'm take the tip of this, fold it over just to make it fat. That way when I put my crimp thing on there, it'll be a nice, good, rigid connection, okay? See that? So that's all the grounds right there. All right, so now we're getting good. Put the crimp tool down here. Here's our big cable crimp. So see right there in the middle, there's that little dimple, that's the center. We're gonna take this and crimp it all the way down on the insulation. We're gonna do multiple crimps here. It's in position, kinda. That's a tough hole for this crimp tool to get into. I don't know if I can reach it. Yeah, see, they gotta spread them out wide just to get the jaws to open up. And I just don't know. Try that. There we go, beginning first crimp action. Hey, I'm not getting a bite on it yet. I can't crimp fully, it's running into the, it's like a, what you call it? That was a failure. The arm was running into a fuel line. Fail. Here, I backed this up some, so let's try this again. Got another barrel crimp here. It's a little bit smaller than the one I just tried. This one might cinch down a little easier. I was gonna end up deforming that one that I just used. It was gonna get nasty. So I abandoned it and try again with this one. Come on. That's hard to do one-handed, I'll tell you that. While holding the wire in place at the same time. And I failed. We didn't make it. Didn't make it at all. That's not good. All right, that's a monumental failure. So what had happened was when I crimped down on it, this crimp was not getting small enough to go around that section of wire. So we need to make that section of wire bigger. Now, I can't go a smaller crimp because this section of wire needs to crimp onto something. So what I propose and what I'm going to do is we're going to crimp them both at the same time using two crimps. See that? Watch this. This is totally going to work. We're going to overlap these two like so, like that, with the crimp over it, and we'll just double crimp both of them and then have a nice life. In theory. We'll see if it's going to work. I mean, if it's not going to work, then this is going to get harder and harder and harder for me to achieve. But I'd really like to make it work. I need to strip those back even farther. So all that cool stuff that I just did is now a moot point because, well, because it is. I need more wire. That's fail. See, I could have edited all that out, but I didn't. Okay, well, since we love our jobs so much around here, we're just gonna do it again. That is the way. We'll cut back more insulation. I'm gonna try to slide it off without cutting these ends off. I wanna preserve as much of this copper as I can in here. That was a big error in judgment on my part, and now I'm paying for it. But isn't that the way mistakes go? You gotta pay for them later. And if you don't pay for them, then you won't learn from them. And then if you don't learn from them, you just make them again. And if you make them again, and you, well, shame on you. Shouldn't be making the same mistake over and over again. There. A little bit more on that one. Pull it back. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, that's much more better. So we'll start giving these some twists. This is going to be the splice pack of all splice packs. I wish I knew how to braid. If I could like braid hair, I would braid this together. That would be super cool to have a electrical wiring braid. Fleeting thought, but I had it nonetheless. And this one, we'll stick it right in there. Give it some wraps like the others. Get a hold of it with the plier end, kind of tighten it up some. And let me get rid of that ugly right there at the end. There. Okay. So now we're in Hail Mary mode. This is either going to work spectacularly or it's not. And I'm shooting for working because I don't want to do this. I don't want to keep doing this thing. Okay, so see how we're parallel with each other? Those wires are looking good. I'm gonna slide this crimp over that whole pack if I can get it over. There we go. See that? We're exposed on both sides. I see big wire here and I see little wire here on that side. Now we're getting somewhere, boys. Look at that. That's fantastic. So coming in, crimp tool again. Let me back y'all up some. Put you over here. Got to set this up so I can give it some downforce. Please go in there. Yeah, buddy, that's it. This is gonna get 2 crimps. That way they're twice as good. Oh, that's on there. Uncrimp the tool. Let's see how we're looking. How we looking? Good looking. I'd say that's looking real good. Nice. Okay, not done yet though. We need to ensure that there's a premium electrical connection. Okay, now it's time for trial by fire. Got a MAP gas torch right here. We're gonna get this a little warm without burning the thing down. You know what? I'm going to turn off the light so we can maybe see a little better. That flame's coming out to about here, and I'd really like to not melt and catch this thing on fire. What I'm gonna do is heat this thing up right there in the middle. Yeah, we're on fire. I'm totally gonna catch something on fire. I can feel it. Solder, solder, solder. There we go. Fill it on up. Just load that thing up full of solder. I don't even care. Shove it all right in there. There we go. Okay, that one's good. Let's go ahead, power the illuminator back up here, and I'm going to crimp the other side of that connector, and then we'll throw some solder in on the top side as well. I know that's a little bit extra and probably don't need to do it, but I'm going to. One, it'll annoy the trolls, and 2, it couldn't hurt. Oh, that's a tight crimp. There we go. Man. Ping. That was the tool hitting the firewall up here. You didn't see. That's what that was. Anyway, crimp number 2. That one is made. This is a good connection. I'm happy with that. I like it. Let's throw some solder in the hole. Solder coming back in. Setting things on fire again. Flaming. All right, looking good. Now I need to throw some heat shrink over that, clean it all up, and then we'll do the eyelet on the other side. Alrighty, heat shrink, got a couple pieces of this coming in. We're gonna slide it all down. We're gonna overlap a few pieces here, get down over all those older wires in that. And then I'm gonna twist this, because those are not exactly the right length, so if I twist it, they'll bind up on themselves, and then there won't be like the wire sticking out all weird like that appears to be out of place. Let's get some heat on it. I am not going to get the heat gun out. We're just going to use a lighter. There. That one is shrunken. Take this one, slide it over the current heat shrink piece. Fire again. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So, backside, or the other side, the inside, this should be easier. We're just gonna crimp on an eyelet, and that's what's gonna bolt that whole splice pack to the engine block itself. Yep, I hit you, sorry. Give that a twist while we give it a tug. Keep those wires organized and straight. There we go. And then our eyelet, it's gonna go on right there like so. But if I can, which I can't, I was gonna heat shrink over it. What?
Can I have them do an oil change on Mom and Dad's car?
Yeah.
They have nothing to do? Okay.
Yep.
Alright, yeah, go ahead and pull it in.
Well, okay, since I don't have heat shrink that's gonna work on that, the piece that I have is this exact diameter, then the next piece is like 1.5 inch diameter. So this is just gonna live without heat shrink. So I'm gonna shove it in there, give it a twist, and then just kind of crimp it on. Tell you what, I'm gonna cut that down just a wee bit. Not a lot of bit, just a wee little bit. 1/8 of an inch, a couple centimeters, or millimeters, or nanometers, metrics. Put that in the tool. And I just realized I had one of the dies on the wrong setting. That's why the crimp was weird. It was 6. I had it on 6 and not 16. There. Smash that down, let it up, commit the cardinal sin of double crimping. If I can. Here, we'll open it up to the next one. 25. Yeah, folks don't like the double crimps. They're like, oh, it's gonna ruin the integrity of the barrel nut, all that stuff. There, ready to rock and roll. So now, to make this look like it never happened, we're gonna take some of this split wire loom conduit business, and we're gonna slide this over the repair. Slide it all the way down. over those connections down there as far back as I can get it against the wiring harness itself, right there. Beautiful. Okay, next phase, that's our crank position sensor circuits right here, this one, all three of these wires. Now we see they're separated. I'm assuming these are all connected in the correct area. If they're not, that's gonna not be okay because I'll have to repin them later on. But what we're gonna do, instead of trying to repair these, is I'm gonna replace this whole pigtail with another connector. You can see it's already had a connector replaced on it, but I'm gonna do that again. I got one of the components, they make the sensor connector. Standard Ignition Components makes them. It's basically the connector end, all three leads with a pin, or with the pins. See that? Shoe. Let's go ahead and pull this guy on out of here. What's cool is they gave us an orange wire. We got orange. I'm gonna match up those oranges because I know orange is the factory color for the 5-volt reference, which is going to be this wire on the connector. That looks correct. So left side, my left, it's pin number 3. Slide that in, it clicks into place. You guys hear the click? So that one's in. So what I'll do is we'll use the purples for the other 2 circuits. Stick that thing in there, click it in, and same with that one. All right, those guys are all snapped into position. Excellent. So I've gone ahead and stripped back the ends of these wires right here. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna throw some heat shrink over them to double heat shrink them. This set came with some heat shrink impregnated crimp connectors. Watch this, fold that back like so, and now your little dealio can't fall off. See that? Cute little trick. Anyway, what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and start cutting these wires off. Put that there. The orange one at a time. I'm doing the orange one. Idiot. I cut the blue one, not the orange one. Okay, one at a time, 2 at a time. I'm doing the orange one. There we go. Can't believe I just did that. Dummy. Anyway, let me get my crimp connector out here. Another one. Here, you guys move in a little closer. There, now you can see, maybe. Slide that over. Like so. Give it a squeeze. And then the orange wire on the pigtail. That one's going in next. Not like that, it's not. There we go. Put that guy down. Good. Coming back in with the fire. Flaming heat source. I know, it's not a heat gun, but yeah, whatever. We'll be all right. That's good. So, while that's still hot, we're gonna take this heat shrink, slide that right over that. Look at that. And now the heat that I already put into it, along with the additional heat from right here, will shrink down this piece. That's what we're talking about. Good connection. Beautiful connection. So that's one. Now, which wire did I just cut off mistakenly? That was gonna be the dark blue, or the black with the blue tracer, right? So that one we follow, it's this wire here, and that one goes to the center connection on the harness. That's in the middle, right? Yep. So we take our new pigtail, find the middle wire, that's this guy. And we will crimp this one on as well. Give that a fold over. Come on, that's in. Crimpage. Come over here, do some strippage. Insertionage. It's not a word, but it is now. These words are fun. Crimp that guy down. Oh, we're getting somewhere. I'm real excited now. I'm ready to rock and roll. I want to get this done. I want it to run today. It needs to run today. It's all about timing, because I have to run today because I need to go prep the house for 135 mile an hour winds. Shutters and stuff, things to protect yourself from the violence of the storm. There we go. And we need extra beer. Gotta have beer for a hurricane, because there's nothing else to do. You sit out on the back porch on the non-windy side, or the front porch, depending on which side the wind's coming from. Sit there and drink beer. Watch the storm blow around. Maybe ride four-wheelers out in the mud hole. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, we're gonna go outside in this hurricane, guys. I think we're gonna have fun this time. I'm gonna go outside. I mean, not fun. That's not what I meant. Hurricanes are bad and destructive and horrible. They're not fun. But you gotta make the best with what you got. And if what you have is a hurricane, then, well, make the best out of it. Because see, what that is actually an opportunity for family time, because the distractions are gone. So it could actually be a good thing to have a nasty storm, because then you're cooped up inside with your family. Dun, dun, dun. This little guy, that's a thinner gauge wire, so I fold them over. See how it makes that little loop right there? And if you crimp it on this side of the end of the loop, it gives a much more better connection, or a stronger connection, because it's harder for the wires to be pulled apart. And theoretically, it would be a better electrical connection too, because there's more surface area contacting the barrel crimp, right? Anyway, fire coming in. There we go. That's risky business, sliding heat shrink over something that's hot, because it can shrink up before you get it in position. But if you do it just right, you can pull it off. And I think I did it just right. So, where we're at, this guy is connected, and it should be correct according to the old connector. Let's get this stuff out of here. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna get a thicker piece of wire loom and probably seal this up about halfway like so, and then use a smaller piece for the remainder. That's what I'll do. Okay, small piece of split loom coming in. This is for the section that's going to be exposed to the outside. So now, take some friction tape. And we're just going to tape this up nice and pretty like. Okay, that's good. Then we'll take a bigger piece of wire loom and loom this section up right here and then tape it all up. Okay, let's see, how do I want to do this? I don't know, let's just do it, see what happens. I'm gonna run this all the way down because there's some exposed wire down here on this bottom section of the harness. You see that right there? Stuff that back inside. This is going to ensure, zip tie, that this assembly stays together long term without fail. There's my cutters. Let's cut this guy off. Now, down here is where it gets good. It's harder to maneuver big rolls of tape in small places. That's why you always keep your small rolls of tape, even if you have like way more big rolls, because the small roll will really get down and dirty with you. You can get into those small compact areas. Okay, so we're fully covered up right here, but I'm gonna go back and we're gonna make a transition over to this section with said tape. That way it all gets nice and covered up and it looks really good. We're gonna go under. Around that section one more time. Back through the hole, and then we'll finish it off right here. Get that out of here. Right about there. That looks good. Beautiful, look at that. Now, since we're here, I gotta fix this piece too. That's kind of horrible. I'm gonna fix it up to like this point, and that's where I gotta call it good. All of these wires are okay and do not need repair, but the protection that it came with is no longer adequate. So we're gonna give it some new protection. Beautiful. A little bit of tape in there, just so it stays in place. We're not gonna tape the whole thing up. I don't need to waste a whole roll of tape on what's going on here, but a little bit will make for a good clean look. Is this gonna work? Is my zip tie too short? Yes, it is. I'll get it, watch this. There. Oh no, I didn't get it. There, now I did. It's only on by like 2 clicks, but it's on there. That'll do it. Okay, so this whole bit of business here has been repaired. We need to take this, shove it back down behind the head, bolt this on, plug that into the crank position, and then get the intake manifold back on. We're gonna throw this intake on real fast, and then we're gonna give this thing a restart and a recheck. And then see if we have any additional repairs that are going to be needed. This section right here was sitting on top of the transmission bell housing. So I'm gonna finish off this roll of tape right there on the back part of the harness. That way this can't rub through and we have to do this again. This is what I was referring to when I was saying you should keep your small tape rolls. It's perfect for this kind of moment. Hello, darling.
Hello, I bring you water.
Wasser?
Yes.
Wasser is gut.
It's a little hot out here.
Yeah, I know. I'm over here in this engine compartment, not breathing air that's not made out of heat, humidity. Oi. You brought water? Thank you. No coffee? No.
Coffee will dehydrate.
Coffee's good. It's good for me. Good. You are correct. You guys, drink your water. Wife unit says so. It didn't have to be Sam's water. I just showed that because I'm holding it. Anyway, I'm gonna drink this down, and we're gonna get these wires tucked in, bolted onto the bottom, and we will proceed with the reinstallation of this intake. We're back down below. Crank position sensor is connected and plugged in. This is our big ground wire lead right here, which is that convolute pulled back some, but that'll be fine. What I'm gonna do, take that splice pack wire and bolt that right here to the engine block. Right there, that's where she goes. Okay, 15 wrench to seal the deal. And we'll go ahead and let her down, throw the intake back on. Like I said, I'm not gonna show you guys that part. We're just gonna skip ahead to when it's time for the first start, or near to it, and then we can begin additional evaluations. That looks good. Good positioning on everything. There's no wires on the exhaust, all that kind of stuff. That would be bad. You don't want to do that. You don't want to wire up your exhaust. Click. Okay, I think we're good. Let's let her down. Hey, Lauren came out of the office raising the alarm. She said there's some kind of a storm out here. Is this our first rain ban from that hurricane? Is that our first one? Here she is. What's that thing? What's the name of that stupid thing?
What?
The hurricane?
Helene.
Helene, not Helen. Got it. Yeah, wind just started picking up. We had about 18 hours of no airflow whatsoever. There was nothing going on. It was kind of creepy, wasn't it, darling? Last night? Yeah. We see we got the heavy machinery out already. Yeah, people are ready to rock and roll for this one.
I heard that all the gas, everyone's out of gas.
Not me.
Well, not me either. I went yesterday.
No.
But,
well, I stay full. I got 180 gallons of diesel. I'm good.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone's going crazy. Walmart's out of water. Gas stations are out of gas.
I didn't even notice.
I was on Facebook and I read
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I went to Costco yesterday and I was talking to the lady at checkout and I'm like, hey, where's everybody at? Because I walked into Costco and the place was like a ghost town. It was like Walmart at 2 in the morning. If Walmarts are still open at 2 in the morning. They used to be once upon a time. Anyway, nobody was in there and I was talking to the lady checking us out and she's like, oh, yeah, you should have been here an hour ago. It was like the entire city came in and cleared out half of Costco's inventory and then they went home. So I guess I came in after the fact, which was awesome because they were already restocked. Good job, Costco. We love you guys. Honey, I still think we have toilet paper left over from 2020, and we didn't go toilet paper hoarding. I did not buy toilet paper in 2020. I just stay in a level of hurricane preparedness whenever season comes around, which is half the year. So we pretty much just stay prepared for hurricanes. That way we don't have to freak out when there's a storm out there and then run off to the store and buy a bunch of stuff. Okay, intermission over, which is horrible terms because this is nearly the end and therefore we don't need an intermission. Anyway, we've got this thing assembled. ECM's reconnected. All the wires are back where they go. Man, intake manifold's on. All that stuff's ready to rock and roll. Let's hit the key and see if it's gonna run. So our first indicator that this is gonna be correct is it's gonna start up quickly and it's not gonna crank and crank and crank and crank and crank and crank. Now, this first start is probably gonna be a little slow to go because I've gotta prime the fuel line. Let's hear it. Let's hit the key, see what she does. Much faster restart. Shut down. Okay, a little stumbly. Let's go check it out, see what she does. Take a look here. Running smooth. We have reached RPM greater than 2,500. So let's give it a shutdown and do a quick restart again. Power off. Yeah, it's like it's stumbling on startup. Idle air control. I wonder if the IAT is connected. Where are you, IAT? Okay, that is working. What was that? It's a weird little noise. All right, one more time. Okay. Yeah, it stumbles on startup some. Look into that a little bit. Let's get the scan tool. Just check those codes real fast. We'll get the little one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug this in, clear the code, and then we'll just do a quick restart and see if we still have that check engine light or if it comes back on. I don't think we're gonna have a check engine light. I do believe this thing's got some relearning to do. We're gonna have to cross that bridge in a minute. Don't know if the ECM has survived though. P108 map sensor circuit high, that might be unplugged. Manifold pressure, okay. Yeah, P108, all right. So I don't have the crank correlation code, that 335. So I just sent the request. Something's disconnected. Hang on, let's shut her down and go find it real fast. Power off.
Did you do that or?
No.
It's plugged in now.
Oh, it was unplugged?
It's got no lock on it. So I guess when we put the alternator in, it knocked it out.
Got it, okay. Well, let's try that restart again. It was unplugged. Hands free and clear, watch out, fellers. Restarting the engine. Let's clear it out one more time, erase. It started up very nicely. Request sent, I probably have to shut the engine off. It's not clearing. Come on, you're killing me, Smalls, you're killing me. Ding. Okay, clearing again, one more time. Erase trouble code. One moment. Autolink is erasing in progress. Come on. All right, lights off. Well, it's flashing. So we'll key it off, key it back on, restart. Let's see a quick restart. And no idle surge on that one. Good. And check engine light is not on. No powertrain DTCs detected. I don't know if you can see that. It might be a little too bright for the camera or whatever. But we got no DTCs. Quick restart. That tells me that this repair operation is complete. This thing is good to go, you guys. It's gonna rev over 2,500. It has power. Look at that. Excellent. That's a victory. All right, guys. Hurricane's coming. We're closing up. Close tomorrow. I might make some videos at home. I might not. If not, then I'll see you guys coming up this weekend, and I'll definitely see you guys next weekend or next week. So, having said all that, as always, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think about this repair on this Dakota. Is it a Dakota? Durango? Whatever. This Dodge. In the comment section down below. Do not forget to engage that like and subscribe button while you're down there. And most importantly, have a great day. See you guys later. Stay safe during the hurricane. End of video, end of story, end of day, end of transmission.